Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
What is up, fam? It is Tuesday night, which means Birds of a Feather is coming live to you on A2DRadio.com, on Instagram, Periscope, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, the website. We're brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountants. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com. Also brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. Find them in Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton, New Jersey. You can find them on the web, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Our Scanzano Sports poll question tonight: who is your top-ranked prospect pre-combine? Quinnen Williams, Nick Bosa. Is there anybody else out there you guys want to talk about? This is going to be Chuck's specialty tonight. Chuck likes to talk.
I don't want to put it all on that because I'm not even like fully completed like a lot of the prospects. So
Chuck's is doing his prospect reviews, and we're going to go through and we're going to talk about some of that. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the franchise tag with the Eagles. Is there anybody out there that you think they may franchise tag? I think me and you just kind of had a little bit of a discussion on that. We'll touch on that. We'll also do a Flyers Pens Stadium Series review. They're playing right now. I think it's what, 2-1?
2-1 after first period.
2-1 after the first period for the Flyers in the post-Wayne Simmons era. And, of course, no huddle, where we're going to just talk about random topics. Got a couple things to talk about. So we're excited, guys. We're ready to chat with you guys. Hopefully you join us in the chat. And, as usual, we'll talk about anything that you guys want to talk about. So, Chucks, who you got?
All right, well, it's really close. So if you want to look at these two prospects, and you go across all, all of the major draft analysts out there in the media, Daniel Jeremiah, people at ESPN, everything, like even at the draftnetwork.com, it's pretty much agreed on that it's between these two. That's why these two are listed. If you really do believe in someone else, that's fine. Definitely put their name in the comments. I would definitely want to include you guys because, like I said, I haven't done all my homework yet on the majority of the draft class. So I definitely need some catching up to do. But you guys definitely comment and chime in. But between these two, if I were to pick between Nick Bosa, who is very similar to his brother Joey Bosa, he's an edge defender, plays in a 4-3. You'll play your defensive end, pretty much, or in a 3-4. He can play in a 3-4 as a stand-up linebacker, but he's just like his brother. Very similar skill set, very polished all-around game. There's hardly any weakness to his game. The biggest red flag is his injury history, injury concerns, which kept him out of pretty much most of this year, from what I remember, and that's pretty much it when it comes to red flags with him. And then you have Quinnen Williams, the interior defensive lineman from Alabama. So you know that he's already like coming from a powerhouse school. Alabama has plenty of obviously pro level prospects that they put out every single season. He is. And again, I hate throwing this comparison out because I'm not saying that he is going to be this level of player. But if you're talking about, if I'm going to throw out someone where his playing style is is similar to, based on just the little bit I've seen, it definitely draws comparisons to Aaron Donald. The quickness, the explosion. He's not really a two-gap kind of defensive tackle, and what I mean by that is he's not a defensive tackle or a nose tackle that'll play in a 3-4. He's not that type of guy. He's more of a penetrator, someone who played in the 4-3 on the interior and shoot the gap, get massive penetration. Um,
I'm such a child. I giggled twice.
I
when you
know,
said that.
yeah. So
Giggity!
he is a one gap player, but he
penetrator.
is absolutely dominant. And
There's only one penetrator on this team, and that's
one
Fletcher
penetrator.
Cox.
Yes. But if I'm going to pick between the two, and splitting hairs in my opinion, as of right now, I am gonna have to say Nick Bosa just because he's more polished all around. Not to say that Quinton Williams isn't, but give me that. And I guess like edge, his position does give him a little bit more value because that edge pass rusher is very, 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 very pivotal. I mean, like the interior defensive lineman, like you have someone like Fletcher Cox who's an elite pass rusher, that makes a huge difference. But I think to me, Nick Bosa by a hair would get my selection just by a hair, and I think that it's too hard to ignore, too difficult to not go with someone who has elite pass rushing skills, who can get upfield, convert speed to power very, very, very well at such a high level where he's coming at you, he'll explode off the snap, off the line, and then quickly hit you with a swim move or anything. Get around the edge. In run defense, he's very, very good. Good in pursuit. So there's really no weakness to his game besides his injury history. So I think I'm gonna have to go Nick Bosa, but it's hard to pick between the two.
Well, I think it depends on, what the end game is for the Eagles in regards to this draft. Because one thing we talked about a lot on this show was the reliance that they're going to have to use their assets that they have this year with all these draft picks. They're going to have to rely on the draft a lot more this year than they did previously because of the cap situation. And I think a lot's going to depend on what happens over the next couple of months before we hit the actual draft in regards to free agency and guys that are cap casualties, and then free agents that we do bring in to fill in some of those holes. With that being said, just kind of going in terms of how you broke down each player, we do have a lot of uncertainty in regards to our edge rusher because we don't have Brandon Graham. And Derek Barnett's coming back off of an injury. There's a lot of question marks there. So if you're looking for a guy who is polished, who can step in now and possibly make an immediate impact, you may want to sway that way. And I know that you said in regards to Quinton, the one thing I look at, I'm a guy who, how much work needs to be put into the guy for him to reach that potential? And I know you said you're not saying that he's necessarily Donald, but there's a lot of similar skill sets there that could be developed into maybe not quite up here, but maybe right to here, which is a hell of a player. Mm-hmm. I look at that, and I mean, that's a guy I would absolutely love to have on this football team, a guy who plays his style in the interior, in there with Fletcher Cox, paired up with him, particularly because Michael Bennett, after this year, I believe his contract is up.
Yes, I think after, yeah.
So we're looking at next year. That's going to be another hole that we're going to have to fill.
Yeah, that's
so you're
true.
looking at where is the ceiling for this guy and how quick is it going to take for him to get there? They may look at this as an opportunity to fill that hole now, let him learn behind a Michael Bennett for a year, and then be able to step in possibly next season and fill that hole without having to worry about next year approaching that, particularly because you do have other options out there as far as an edge rusher. We talked about, Derek Barnett's coming back. We're going to see how that works out. We also have we threw out the possibility, does Vinny Curry fit coming back into this defensive line?
Yeah.
I think that he does. I think one of the points that we had talked about on the show was the fact that he had to take on a much larger role in terms of how many reps he played in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And it exposed him a little bit. By coming back here in a defensive scheme that he has succeeded in, and by having that ability to then join in and be a part of a rotation again, I think could rejuvenate him at a very team-friendly value, because I don't see anybody blowing this guy out of the water, particularly with the year he had last year. So if I'm looking to next year and beyond, I might have to go with Quinton because I feel like the potential that could be there and knowing it's another major hole we're going to have to fill next year, we got guys that are options on the outside, but they're question marks. We don't really have the option as far as when Michael Bennett's gone next year. So I would look at that possibly as something that could help you this year, but really help you in regards to the following year. So I might go that route, I think.
With Quinnen?
With Quinnen.
Quinnen. I mean, to me, there's no wrong answer. I think you look at the top. You look at the top of the draft order too. That plays a big factor in it because I'm pulling up the draft order now. I should have it. Well, number 1 is going to be Arizona, and then number 2 is going to be the 49ers. In my opinion, the 49ers are praying Nick Bosa gets to them because they have a bunch of guys who are the more of the interior kind of guys. So they have DeForest Buckner, and they have I forget who the other interior guy is, but someone like Eric Armstead can switch from outside to in. So they are probably praying that the Cardinals take Quinnen Williams, which is a possibility.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people were talking about Kyler Murray because their new coach Cliff Kingsbury. What did he coached them or something that with Kyler Murray? Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone that's listening, but Kyler Murray is a lot of people are saying that he's going to go number 1 in the Cardinals. It makes sense. No, I really doubt that.
I
really doubt that.
I don't think
it's
that's
hard to
happen.
believe that they're going to spend a top 10 pick on Josh Rosen the year before, and then he had no help, no one on his team. Like, no offensive line. The only weapon he had was David Johnson, but they didn't even use him right. Like, he had no receivers, and then you're going to already give up on him? No, I don't think
Kyler Murray is so undersized for the NFL, and I know
he's listed at 5'10", but with him being a baseball prospect, you're probably familiar with him. Am I correct? Because he's 5. People are saying he could be like 5'8", 5'9".
Here's the thing I look at with him, though. When I look at the NFL and I look at not necessarily the skill set, but I look at a guy his size and how much success in his ceiling I could see in the NFL, I look at a guy like Doug Flutie, who was able to be successful, but he was an undersized guy. He wasn't a guy that was going to take you to a championship. I don't see him being a franchise quarterback. I think he could be a guy that could start on a team that is desperate for a quarterback, or kind of flirting with the playoff picture to out of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But I don't see him ever being able to last in the league to be that guy. I mean, we see monstrous guys like an Aaron Rodgers, like a Carson Wentz, guy like a Ben Roethlisberger, and how beat up these guys get.
Yeah,
you have to be versatile in the league and be able to take risks in order to be successful. And we see it with these guys. And as big as these guys are and built for this league, they have issues with injuries. Ooh. Sorry.
No, it's good.
All right. Good.
It's all right. That was close.
But I could see him being a guy who comes into the NFL, gets his rookie deal, works that out, and then leaves the league and goes to baseball because he'll still be young enough to be able to go and pursue Major League Baseball. Mm-hmm. For me, I think this is just a money grab for this kid. I think that he's going to bank on that whole Heisman Trophy deal, and he's going to end up cashing in on a top NFL rookie deal. And unfortunately, and I hope not, because I never want to see anybody fail, I don't think he's going to last in the league, and I think he's going to end up turning back to baseball at some point.
That's definitely possible, and that's one of the risks you take on when you select. If you're a general manager, think about this. You are now again, I haven't studied a lot. Now, Kyler Murray, from a simple just QB evaluation standpoint, he's got a good skill set. He's got a good arm, very talented arm. Obviously, he can run and he can move. He's very, very mobile. He can make almost any throw in the book. He has a lively arm on the move, so he can get out of the pocket and still make all those throws. He is someone who also he sees the field well, and so the skills are there. The arm is there. He has some issues with going off of his first read and then tucking and running.
Yeah.
As a lot of mobile quarterbacks tend to do that. Now, is that something that's coachable? Absolutely. You got to coach him to be able to, okay, stay in the pocket, make your read, because you can't just go first read and then rely on your legs to save the day every single time. I think we can agree that was the issue. That was one of the big issues with Michael Vick. Like, Michael Vick had all the arm talent. God knows, like how well he could throw the ball, how far he could throw the ball downfield. Mm-hmm. And when he was on, he was a really good passer when he was on, but he struggled with consistency. And I think that Kyler Murray has to address those type of issues going to the next level. He has to stop getting off of his first read. Now, back to my original point, when you're a general manager and you want to invest in Kyler Murray, because it is either Kyler Murray or it's Dwayne Haskins. And Dwayne Haskins is more of the prototypical large pocket QB who has, who's a safe pick. His ceiling might not be high. He might not ever be like an elite quarterback, but he could be a good quarterback in this league for a while. That's Dwayne Haskins, and he has a lot of good intangibles, but physically he's not a Kyler Murray. So are you going to go with a safe pick, or are you going to gamble with a Kyler Murray who, one, like you said, his height is an issue, and at the next level, just like Michael Vick, if he is not careful, he will get subject to big hits. Durability could be in concern, just like you said. But then that whole thing about baseball, that's always going to be there. And imagine, you are a general manager who picks Kyler Murray, and then after his rookie contract, he decides to go to baseball. You are out of a job. You are pretty much putting your job on the line and saying that you are confident enough that Kyler Murray will stick to football. And it's not that, the thing is, it's not you're in a situation where he is a bona fide football player and he has everything it takes to be a can't-miss prospect. No, there are those question marks about him and his size. So if he doesn't make it in football, he has a a safety net in baseball.
Yeah. I think the worry, too, is, I could see him going to a team late in the first round, and it would make a little more sense to me. He's going to have to go to a team that has an offensive line. He's going to need to be protected. He's going to have to be able to have time to figure out and learn, when to take those risks and outside of the pocket, and when it's time to, obviously clearly not. And then that's one of the issues that we have with Michael Vick, where Michael Vick, his first reaction, if that first read or second read wasn't there, he's taken
gone.
off.
Yeah.
That's going to be a concern with Kyler Murray, especially with a learning curve for a rookie quarterback. I think that not having an offensive line would be very, very risky for any team to bring him in, because you're going to need to protect him and give him time to be able to learn those situations and be able to, be able to have time to go through first read and see second and third reads, let alone just to take off. So I would be very concerned. If I'm a team who's considering it, I don't take him till late in the first round, and I'm looking at him as a guy who could potentially be a project guy. Not even a project, but a guy who maybe can, if you have a stopgap quarterback right now for the next year or maybe 2 years, he could be the incumbent to come in. And you're already, if you're on your way as far as, building that team and having the offensive line in place and you're kind of putting the other weapons around, it makes a little more sense for me. And I think he's going to, there's no doubt in my mind, I think he's going to end up being out of the league in 4, maybe 5 years, and he's going to end up being he's going to end up pursuing baseball again.
I think another thing you got to consider is it's a great thing you bring up the offensive line, but it's another thing that you have to keep in mind. With him being so short, you're not going to be able to play him behind center. He's not going to be able to take majority of his snaps right under center,
right,
and drop back, because he's not going to be able to see.
Can't see over
he
the line,
has to be a shotgun type of passer where he takes it and he's already got space in front of him, and he takes another few drop backs, and then that way he'll be able to see better. Is it like the end all? Is it the what's the word I'm looking for? Is it like a deal breaker? No, it's not a deal breaker, because it's only like an inch or two like a few inches shorter, or a couple inches shorter than a Baker Mayfield or Russell Wilson, Russell Wilson's like 5'11", so it's really not a huge difference. And Russell Wilson makes it work. Like he learned, he developed, he makes it work. But you still have to. That's part of that factors into the equation, because
Russell Wilson had a good offensive line in front of him, though.
yeah, oh yeah,
That's a huge difference.
exactly. So
that's a huge factor.
you have to make sure whatever team is drafting and taking a chance on Kyler Murray, they have to also make sure they have a correct game plan for him to succeed. Because why was Russell Wilson able to succeed? Why was he able to help the Seahawks win in the second year? Because they had that running game to help him. They didn't put him in bad situations. They made him just play to his strengths. Mm-hmm. And he was crucial. Like, if you remember that Super Bowl, they weren't passing the ball a whole lot, mm-hmm. but he made so many critical throws on third down, mm-hmm. because they relied on him to they put him in a position to be successful. Mm-hmm. So that's what you need to do with Kyler Murray. He's not, with someone like that, his skill set and his limitations in terms of physical, height and length. You have to make sure that you're not going and putting him in a power running game system where he's behind center and doing play action. Like in Jacksonville, that's the system they run. They have with Blake Bortles, it's play action, play action, play action. No, he's not going to be successful in that. Mm-hmm. He has to be in shotgun and pistol, and so he'd be able to see the field better.
So who do you think is a good fit for him?
So if I'm going to go down the line, let's go down.
Realistically, where do you think he's going to go, and who do you think is a good fit for him?
So, not the Cardinals. Now, if the Cardinals, if somehow he's still available in the second round, absolutely.
I mean, I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibilities that the Raiders would take a shot at him. I don't know why. Derek Carr does not seem to be a Gruden guy.
Yeah.
I could see Gruden taking a shot, especially because he's a quarterback guy. He loves quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I will give Gruden this much. He seems to have, if there's any position that he has an understanding of, it seems to be his quarterback.
Yeah.
So I could see that being, when we're just looking alone at the top 5, I could see the Raiders. Wouldn't shock me if the Giants picked him up. I don't think that they will. Wouldn't shock me, though.
See, I wouldn't even go.
Would be interesting, even though we don't think he's a fit.
Yeah, people might say Buccaneers, but I don't think Bruce Arians is.
They're committed to they seem very committed to Jameis Winston, which shocks me. But it seems to be when Bruce Arians came to that team, there was an understanding from Bruce himself that he was going to work with Jameis and try to bring the most out of him and try to get him back to get up to a top level. So I don't think Tampa Bay is going to even flirt with that idea. That would
Tampa
be a terrible
Bay,
idea.
Yeah, because and Arians likes to put his quarterback behind center. It's not gonna work. I don't think Jacksonville would, to be honest. I think if they go quarterback, they're gonna go with someone safe like a Dwayne Haskins. With that type of team they have, it just makes more sense to me.
Yeah, I don't see the Lions.
No, not the Lions. Not the Bills.
I don't see the Bills. I don't see the Broncos. Maybe the Bengals.
Bengals and Dolphins is where it gets interesting. I believe. I think because they have new coaches.
Please don't let Miami take it. I'll shoot myself in the
It depends on
face.
the coach. Who's the new Dolphins coach? Miami.
That's what's his name from the Patriots.
Brian Flores.
Oh, Brian Flores.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So he's a defensive. Depends who's their offensive coordinator now, because it depends on.
It's a really well-known guy.
Dale Loggins.
Oh, it's not a well-known guy.
Loggins.
It's a defensive coordinator is a well-known guy.
Yeah. So, I mean, with Miami, it's possible. I don't know how. I'm not very familiar with the I'm not too familiar with Loggins' system and what he would take. But, see, that's the range. That's the range there. The middle of the first round would be the range. So you have, 11 to the Bengals, 13 to the Dolphins. He wouldn't go to the Falcons. Redskins, maybe? With what's his face?
Do they have a
talk
line?
about you talk about John Gruden, his brother Jay Gruden.
That's true.
I could see that. I could see it to the Redskins because they need a quarterback. Alex Smith is not going to play until next year.
Right now they're running out Johnson again, right?
I don't know technically who their
That could be a
quarterback would
landing
be.
spot for Foles, though.
With the Redskins?
Yeah.
It could be. I mean, it absolutely could be. But you're right. I mean, and here we go.
I mean, the
24?
Raiders could take him at 24 if he drops down
There you go. I mean, like, if he drops down that far, which I would be surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked. I would be surprised, but not shocked.
I could see Pittsburgh taking a shot on him.
You think so?
It's going to depend on how long they think Ben's going to stay in the league, because I think Ben's got a year, maybe 2 left.
I could see it.
And they are built enough that could be a team that would make sense to give him a shot.
Yeah.
And protect him enough that he could develop there.
I
I actually think that would be a really good spot for him if he lands up at 20 at that point.
No, I think
But
you're right.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they're planning on doing in regards to what their needs are, though.
No, I hear you. And I think that looking down the rest of the line, Chiefs no, Packers no.
There's really nobody else
no one
there.
else. So I think it's going to be, to me, I think it's going to be
I mean, if he gets
around that area, 11-13 or.
If he gets past Pittsburgh, I think he falls into the second round. Then maybe it makes a little more sense for some teams if they're going to take a shot at him.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't go to those couple teams that we named, I think he falls out of the first round.
So if he does fall out of the first round, the Cardinals do have that second pick.
Raiders
Second round
again
pick
at 35. Raiders got a
35.
lot of picks in this draft this year.
They do. They do.
I mean,
How many? They had the 2
the
in the
Giants
first round?
maybe at
Jeez.
37 might take a shot at him then.
If they don't take Haskins. Because, I mean, like, they want Eli again, but, I mean, how long is the general manager going to ignore the QB position? They might take Haskins if he's there and then say 1 year develop under Eli. But, I mean, who knows? They could be waiting for next year when the QB class
There's
is
like a
better.
sick feeling in the pit of my stomach that's where Foles is going to end up at, though.
In the Giants?
I have a sick
I
feeling
don't
that's going to
think
be
so.
a spot he's going to land at.
I don't think so. And he would not be successful there. I will say that right now. He would not be successful on the Giants with that offensive line, his lack of mobility, and then that system is
But they
not.
can address that in the draft.
They could, but it's not like they're surefire prospects. I mean, they drafted one offensive lineman who was good, Will Hernandez, and then they signed Nate Solder. But the rest of the offensive line is still not, like, from center to right guard to right tackle, they have no answers. And Will Hernandez is still a young player. He's not anything. So
Let's dip over to the Facebook and bring up the YouTube if you don't mind.
Yep.
David Rosca, what's up, boys? I'll be doing double duty. Always appreciate it, Rosca. Thomas Arnone, what's up, fam? Rosca says, nice work for the Flyers. They have a chance to get in the postseason. They do. I mean, they needed that win against Pittsburgh, so that was a big win for them. That's a team they're chasing. And he says that he will have fun. Mike Mitchell says, offer still on the table for the Jaworski jersey. Rosca says Coyotes will win against Florida tonight. Ralph Delavecchia says, give me Benny Snell. We don't need anyone else.
Oh, stop it, Ralphie. Benny Snell. What is with this hype about Benny Snell?
Ralphie loves him.
My God. So a lot of people in this group love Benny Snell.
Well.
I'll tell you what, guys. If he's selected anywhere before round 4, I will be absolutely shocked. Benny Snell is not even close to being a first-round pick. I've heard people say, oh, he's, he could be there late first round. I'm not even considering him late first round. I gave him a round 4 grade, and that's if he has a good combine, maybe round 3. But I don't understand. There's so many other, I think I have my running back rankings done, and I'm gonna save it for next week because that's when I'll have my article out on it. But I have about I think Snell is around 12 of 15 around there on my running backs. There's so many more running backs that are either better or just as good. This class has a lot of good day 2 prospects, but Snell is not one of those day 2 prospects. He's day 3.
Mike Mitchell again offering to donate the Jaworski jersey to replace the Tom Brady jersey. We're just putting it out there. Wouldn't hate it. David Rosca says Antonio Brown to the Eagles would be a problem as a diva. Mr. Chromiak, I appreciate that. It was nice. Thank you for addressing me that way. I agree with you. I don't want him.
Don't want him either.
And Greg Malakovic says, "What's up, boys? Trade everyone for AB.
Nope.
Let's go. We'll be down Broad Street
Stop
in no
it, Greg.
time." You're a liar.
Stop it, Greg.
He says, "Why not have a top 3 wide receiver? Everyone doesn't want AB. Loves Jimmy Butler, which is amazing to me. Big difference, different sports. I don't, and I'm with Chucks. When we broke it down, I don't even know if I put AB in the top 5, maybe top 6.
Yeah, he's still near the top 5,
Yeah.
but he doesn't make
Right.
my top 5.
No, I'm good." Tom Arnone says, "I'm just not into the combine. Love the draft. Just hate shorts and T-shit. LOL." Greg says, "I used to take off of work for the combine. Granted, I like 30 days off. Granted, I had like 30 days off, so I needed to waste some time." That's all I got over here.
So Roska is over here too.
That's
on
all right.
YouTube.
Double dip it, brother.
Double
That's fine.
dipping. But TTP Ballin does chime
Just
in
a
a bit. He says, "No, I know nothing about this draft, so I'm ready to knowledge it up." He says, Yoda Frank, he wants a... I don't know if I want to read that. And hopefully we got some Bracey news live on air. I think we talked about it
We're
before.
hoping, man. Chucks can't talk baseball, so I already gave Frank the heads up that if Bryce News breaks, I'm going to
If
need
it
Frank
breaks,
to jump on the headset.
If
and help
it
me out here.
happens, I will step aside and let the talk
I told
begin.
Frank I'm going to need him to turn that mic on, and we're going to have to get rolling. So let's hope it happens.
Knock on wood.
I love baseball talk, believe me.
And then Roska says, "How about a draft pick for AB? That is better." I don't know what he means. Because did Roska say no in Facebook? So I don't know what he means by this one. But anyways, no, I think we both. I mean, not think we do both agree that we're not interested in AB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we ran down there.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking, I mean, when you talk about top prospects in the draft and the 2 you gave, I'm still going for the highest ceiling. I mean, I don't think either guy is going to take a whole ton of time. I know you said one's more polished. Plus, I think football's a little bit different. Like when we talk about, say, the NBA, for instance, you're looking at guys. You want to get a guy who's more polished and less of a project at a high draft pick because there's limited roster spots, and you really do need to build through the draft because that's how you attract free agents. That's what the Sixers did. That's that whole process thing that a lot of the league now is starting to take on. You're going to need to be able to build through the draft, so you need to have a more polished player, less of a project. Unfortunately, we made that wrong choice with a Markelle Fultz. That being said, we know that.
He's out of here.
It's a little bit different. Same thing, but in a lot of the other sports, I think you go for the highest ceiling. And again, if there's a guy who could have a skill set like an Aaron Donald, I'm going that all day, every day.
Like I said, there's no wrong answer. To me, from what I've seen, it's either or, and they both. It's just a matter of which one fits your roster. Which position do you need more? Do you need interior or do you need edge? To me, these guys are can't miss prospects. These are the two. Mm-hmm. Beyond them, there are a bunch of interesting names, and I mean, again, I'm not fully through with it, so I can't say for sure. But I mean, there are offensive tackle possibilities that could fall to the Eagles. There are interior defensive lineman possibilities. It's so early.
I know we've talked about it. For me, I really don't get into it until about 2 weeks before. It's after the combine has happened, and you start getting an idea of guys that teams are targeting. That's when I start to pay attention. When I start hearing names that are potential pickups for the Eagles, you're going to learn, even if you don't try, you're going to learn about the guys who are in the top 10. You get so saturated with the information on these guys who are the projected top 10s that you really don't need to. So with the Eagles being outside of the top 10 and towards the end of the first round, this is one of those years where I wait and I hear what the needs are and I look for the guys who are going to be the most likely that they could pick up there, and maybe a guy or two that might drop.
Yeah.
And that's when I start learning about these guys. I'm not. Admittedly, I like Nebraska, but I'm not like a hardcore college football fan. I watch Nebraska games, and that's about all. And the national championship game, which I didn't even watch this year because it was a lousy game. But I don't get super crazy into it, but I do try to understand what the needs of the team are. To me, the Philadelphia Eagles first round, there's not a doubt in my mind. I would bet the house that they're going to go offensive linemen in this first round. I think that I would bet even more so it's probably going to be more likely a tackle. And
It has to be a tackle.
I think that they will go with best available at that point that makes the most sense. Unless, again, we talk about this for some astronomical reason, some top 10 or 15 talent drops all the way down to them.
And it's happened.
You can't not take them. Absolutely, it has.
I mean, look what happened to freaking Derwin James last year. He was projected like a top 5, top 10 pick. He dropped all the way to the Chargers.
Right.
And the Chargers were like, "Thank you, will take them." I mean, we will take him. So it absolutely could happen. That's why I've been telling people, like, when it comes to the Eagles picking at 25, are there certain players that I would like? Yeah, like, Josh Jacobs, the number 1 running back in this class. I would love him, but I will not say – I can't say definitively that if he's there at 25 that he should be the pick, because I don't know who's going to fall. Mm-hmm. If there's a guy that I have on my board that is like in the top 10, I'm actually absolutely picking that guy almost regardless of what position he plays. Mm-hmm. Even if it is linebacker or corner or safety, it doesn't matter. Go Flyers scored. Nice. Who was that? JVR? Yeah.
JVR 3-1.
JVR 3-1. It doesn't matter if you have an elite prospect that falls, you take him, and I think Howie would do the same. But if it's close, if they're all around the same tier, an offensive tackle, one of them is an offensive tackle, I do believe that offensive tackle is going to be the pick. I think also what happens now it was it today? They broke the news that Timmy Jernigan they declined Timmy Jernigan's option. Mm-hmm. Depending what happens to him. If he ends up not being re-signed by the Eagles, then interior defensive line absolutely becomes a top need. Sure. So I think that's another position you have to consider for them. Like I've said here weeks prior, I think offensive tackle and interior defensive line are more of a need than running back. And me saying that, being the running back guy, I'm being dead honest. You have to go offensive tackle and interior line, defensive line are more of a need than running back. So I'd want them to see if a good prospect is there. I'd want them to fill those needs before running back.
Mark Hooven says Flyers Pens of the Linc was the loudest crowd I've ever been a part of. The boys are looking pretty good tonight too. Agree. I think I saw somebody somewhere also said that they looked very quick tonight post Wayne Simmons. That might have been on Facebook. But Tom says, let's go Flyers. Bill Middlebrook says, we just have to throw up a guy we want smoking a bong, so he'll drop to us. Mark Hooven gave the same update. We went up 3-1. Tom says he's thinking offensive tackle or defensive tackle first round.
Yeah, Tom. Agree.
So franchise tag.
Franchise tag, yeah.
What are you thinking with this?
Let's go down the list.
Want to go?
Yeah, let's go down the list of free agents. I have the list up, and then we'll see if we think point out any guys you think will get franchise tag because they have now. Here. Let's run this down because to clarify, teams have until March 5th, and I know we beat the dead horse on this, but I do not think, and this is my explanation again. I do not believe. I think it's like a 95% chance that Nick Foles does not get franchise tagged, and for this reason, we all know about the money that would come with it. You franchise tag Nick Foles, it's about $25-26 million on the cap, and people are like, "Oh no, they'll have a deal in place. They just have to franchise tag him, and then Foles will agree to the trade, and then they'll trade him right away after franchise tagging him." That's not. It doesn't work that way. Teams have until March 5th. To declare a franchise tag on a player. Once they do that, 25-26 mil is taken off the cap immediately. Boom. They cannot trade officially. They cannot trade anyone until March 13th. So if they franchise tag Foles, it's not like they can do tag, trade, do, boom, done. The 26 is off of our salary cap. No, they can't do that. They have to wait until March 13th to officially process that trade and make sure that that cap is off their books. They cannot they cannot sign any free agents in that time because they will be over the cap. Mm-hmm. And also there is the risk of them reaching an agreement in principle with the team, but then during that time period between the 5th and the 13th, it's very possible that the other team could back out and just be like, no, actually, we changed our mind. We don't want to. That's very possible because it's not official until the league year starts.
Right to Nick Foles, skipped everybody else.
Because I knew that was going to be the first, people are going to want to talk about Nick Foles.
We can skip Foles when we get to him. I don't think they're franchise tagging Nick Foles. I think he's going to be a free agent. So we'll just leave it at that. I'm not even going to entertain that idea anymore because it makes absolutely no sense and it's way too much of a risk.
Too risky. Okay, so D-Law.
Marcus Lawrence. I do, particularly with the news today between David Irving with the potential suspension and Randy Gregory, a defensive end, now is suspended indefinitely. Cowboys doing cowboy things.
Every year, man. It's
Never
like clockwork.
It's like clockwork.
It's
You just
like
wait for the
clockwork.
suspensions to fall down. I absolutely think that he's a franchise tag candidate now for them, particularly with Gregory being out indefinitely.
Yes.
He may never come back, depending on how severe this is.
I know, out indefinitely.
This is now his 4th violation of the substance abuse policy.
It's insane.
That's a problem.
I agree. So I think D-Law could get he would be. I think it would go from what would it be? The top 3.
I think it's a top 3
Top
average
3, right?
salaries, yeah.
Top 3 average salaries. I mean, he's absolutely worth it.
Mm-hmm.
He's elite, so I could definitely see that happening.
We already know Le'Veon Bell will not.
Yeah, he won't. Jadeveon Clowney. I think they'll do it.
Yeah, I think he would be a candidate for that.
I think he'll do it. I think that I don't see a scenario where, to be honest, I think Clowney will get re-signed and extended. I think he's just starting to hit his prime, his stride as a player, as a prospect, and I think they like him way too much on the opposite side of J.J. Watt for him to let him go.
I would agree.
Yeah, Grady Jarrett from the Falcons. I think he'll go.
You think?
I think
he's a possibility.
It's possible, yeah. But I think he'll go. Trey Flowers. Now they have the Patriots. Keep this in mind. They have 2 candidates, and I think he would be on here. I think it's McCourty. Is the other one? The other Patriots free agent who is a possibility of being franchise tagged.
Is it Devin McCourty?
Is it Devin McCourty? I think I'm trying to see here. Patriots. Gostkowski. Oh, maybe it's not McCourty.
It's Jason McCourty.
Jason McCourty. Okay. Buffalo just scored. Jeez. I think I think Trey Flowers
is more of a candidate than Jason McCourty. Yeah, I agree. I think that he's probably who they're going to end up putting the tag on.
Yeah.
Especially because Jason McCourty's already been vocal that he would like to remain with the Patriots. I could see him signing a free agent deal.
Yeah, like a reasonable cheap free agent deal. Yeah.
Or maybe not even necessarily so cheap, but a team friendly deal. So yeah, absolutely him. I don't see Earl Thomas.
No, he's not going to get franchised. No. D Ford, no. I don't think he's going to get franchised, but he could. I don't think so though. Yeah. He's an interesting guy because D Ford wasn't really that good until this year. And then it sucks because he had a good year, I think 15 sacks or 12 sacks, but he's always going to be remembered for that offsides.
Yep.
In the AFC championship game, and so it's I don't know. I don't think he's gonna get franchised. I don't think Landon Collins. I know I'm skipping Frank Clark. He's a toss up to me. I think he's someone it's 50-50. He could. It's hard for me to see him leaving Seattle because now he's establishing himself as one of their core players. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to work out a long-term deal, though, and not franchise tag him. Okay. That's why. But it's 50-50. Landon Collins, that was the big news. Landon Collins cleaned out his locker.
It's a very bizarre situation.
It's very weird. And he cleaned out his locker and said bye to, like, players, coaches, and trainers. So it's as if he's saying that
maybe they already let him know, but it hasn't been put out there. I don't know. It's a very bizarre situation.
So I'm going to say no, he doesn't get franchise tagged. But it's so hard to believe. He's one of their only good players on defense, and they're just gonna let him go. I don't know. It's very tough for me to believe, but it's hard to ignore the news that came out. It really is. C.J. Mosley, no, he's not gonna get tagged. Barr, I don't think he's gonna get tagged. I think you're starting to get into the territory where these guys probably aren't going to get tagged. Tyrann Mathieu will be leaving.
Ronald Darby will be gone.
Joyner, gone. No, I don't think he's going to get tagged.
Teddy Bridgewater, I say no.
No. Preston Smith, I don't think he's going to.
Sue, I could potentially see.
You think so? I think it'd be too high.
Maybe.
I don't think he's going to get tagged. Any other players here? I don't know. Darrell Williams, no. Clinton Dix, no. Brandon Graham, no. Now you did ask me if there's someone on the Eagles that I believe is going to get tagged, who would it be? And I said no. I said there's none.
Mm-hmm.
No, I really don't think there's anyone. But if there's someone out of the group there is, I would guess it's going to be Graham, just so they can use it as a placeholder to negotiate a deal. But that I even think that's far-fetched.
Yeah.
I still think that's still far-fetched because
it's the one guy you look at and you consider it for sure. I don't think they franchise tag him, though.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's interesting. We had the first franchise tag today, Robbie Gould.
Yes. I think that's fine. I mean, they
I have no problem with it.
Yeah, I think with the kicker, he was one of the more reliable kickers in the whole league.
Mm-hmm.
I think he led in accuracy, I think,
Mm-hmm.
this past season. I could be wrong about that, but that's not a surprise. I mean, you want to shore up their I'm pretty sure the Bears are wishing they didn't let him go because
Sure.
that with Cody Parkey. But no, I like that move. I'm glad the Niners got him, and then
Yeah,
you know,
I have no
don't
problem
have to worry about it.
Roscoe wants to know if we're going to talk about Robert Kraft.
We need
I
to
really
talk
don't
this-
have much to say about it. He's an idiot.
And he's not even the biggest name. He's not.
I
Apparently,
haven't seen
did you
the
see
other
that alert?
names. No,
No,
seen
they haven't released the names, but there was a report that
This is almost
Kraft
like
is not the biggest name involved in this.
This is almost like when there was the steroid list and the PED list that was out there, and it's like we haven't heard all the names yet released. It's like that kind of a feel, but it depends how you look at it. Like, I think he's a dumbass.
There are a lot of good memes out there.
He's got oh my God, the meme game has been off the hook. But, you know, he's got a 39-year-old smoke show of a girlfriend.
Does he
who
really?
maybe doesn't want to get yeah, she's an actress. Apparently, maybe she doesn't want to give it to him at home. I don't know. And he's got to do things. I don't know. But, you know, he's denying it. They say they have video evidence of everything. The truth will come out. It's one of those things. I don't really have an opinion on it one way or the other. Just aside from the fact that I think it's hilarious.
I think it's funny.
I just think it's
like, what?
It went from Deflategate to Inflategate. It was one of my favorites.
I didn't see that one. The one meme I loved was there was a picture of an Asian masseuse, and it was like with the 32nd pick in the NFL draft, the Patriots select. Oh wow, okay, yeah, she's young. Jeez.
Yeah,
of course.
I'm trying to find where it was at though, because that one you were talking about was pretty great. But my buddies put a post with that meme where it had the 30-something.
It's and apparently
it was something like with the 32nd pick of the NFL draft, the New England Patriots select like My Tan out of Florida R&T rub and tug. It was like really, really good. But listen, I mean, the dude wants to pay for sex to get his rocks off. I mean, it's none of my business. I don't care.
Well, the report.
It is the oldest occupation in the world. So I know it's illegal. I don't really care if people do it or not. I don't pay for it, which is fine for me. If that's what you want to do, Frank, over there, I mean, more power to you. Don't get caught. Just don't get caught like Robert Kraft.
The report apparently.
I'll go to Amsterdam.
There you go.
Oh, God, there you go.
Go and do it legally. There you go.
Yeah. The report was that.
The best is that he did it the day of the AFC Championship game, though.
Is that what?
He literally, the one time that he was there, It came out. He was there the morning of the AFC Championship game and then hopped on a plane and flew to the game in Kansas City. Amazing. Amazing.
But I mean,
Can I
it's
just
no
say-
joke. It's like they're saying to get just a tiny bit serious. The thing around it is that they were keeping foreigners there who were trying to get into the U.S.
Yeah.
against their will. And as kind of what you
It's a
call
legit
slaves.
sex
So,
trafficking thing.
yeah,
So, I mean, in that actuality, yeah, it's an awful thing, for sure. I mean, I'm not gonna judge anybody who pays to have sex with people. Whatever, man, do whatever. He's got billions upon billions. Of
I'm
dollars.
just curious. I wonder if and when they're going to release because if he's not the biggest name in this, it is interesting to see who else will be involved.
I have no idea. It's going to be really interesting. But can I just add to this though? They showed him at the Oscars, and they showed him. He did like the Oscar pre-show party, and then after, and they showed him return. And he was with Tom Brady. What is with these motherfuckers kissing each other on the mouth? It's so weird. They showed it again on Good Morning America. Like, it's bizarre.
It's really bizarre. I don't know. I didn't know they did that. I didn't know they showed that. I mean,
it's just so weird.
So
I
they
don't
kissed
get it.
again?
They showed that they were together, and Good Morning America put a still shot up where it looked like they were like going in for a kiss again. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the deal is. Like, I get being close, man. Like, we're close, but if your lips come anywhere near me, you're getting punched in the mouth. Not that I don't care about you. I love you to death, but I will punch you in the mouth. Even if it's your wedding day. You will get punched in the mouth, and your photos will be amazing. I just don't get it. But honestly, I don't have an opinion other than the fact that my opinion would be more towards the facility he attended and those issues with sex trafficking than someone who's actually paying for it. I mean, there's places that do that aren't sex trafficking places that just have money. I mean, there was one not far from where we went to high school. And, I don't care if people pay for it. I mean, he may not have even known that was going on there. But that being said, it raises a whole different issue even outside of Robert Kraft. And that's not a conversation I'm going to have on the air of a sports talk show. But as far as Robert Kraft goes, I think he's an idiot. I think it's funny. And I mean, when I got the alert to my phone, I went, oh my God.
I was like, what?
This is so good.
In my head, I was already thinking, oh, this is going to be a hit on social media.
Yeah.
This is going to be all over.
Oh, my God. The meme game has been off the hook.
It's been good.
Do you want any reactions to the Flyers, Pens, Stadium Series?
Oh, besides it being great?
The finale of the Wayne
Well, because,
Simmons
okay, so
era
I wasn't
with the
there.
Philadelphia Flyers.
Obviously, I wasn't there, and I think you watched it at 8:14.
Correct.
I know a lot of people that did actually go to the game, including my friend Mark. And just seeing it on now, I was curious because obviously you can fit more people at the Linc than you can at Wells Fargo, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I never ever really comprehended how many more. So I looked up the max capacity for each, and Wells Fargo is like 19,500. Whereas the Linc is like 70,000 people.
Yeah, they could fit a lot of people.
Oh
there,
my
for
gosh!
Sure.
So like I didn't realize it was that much more, but you see like I was showing Mary this because I was watching. I was in New York the weekend because I had family over and we were out in the city. But I started watching it on my phone starting around like late third period after the I missed a lot of it.
All the heart-wrenching
I
parts
missed,
of it.
yeah. Thank God, kind of. But once JVR scored, I turned it on real quick. So I watched from then on. So I was able to see like the late game stuff, and just I think the whole the fact that it happened at the Linc. The Eagles, and you think about the magic moments, and I was going to talk about this as one of the use as one of the topics for today's show is, where does that a hockey game, an outdoor hockey game, at the Linc, where does that rank among all of the favorite memories at the Linc? It's got to be up there, and I mean,
yeah,
it was incredible the comeback. against a heated rival. Maybe they're right now their most
Without
hated
question
rival.
it is, yeah.
So it's the fashion, the way that they did it, and with it being Giroux, the captain, scoring the game winner, I think it's absolutely incredible.
First of all, both my Ginger boys, Voracek and Giroux, came through at the end of the game. No, that's a fair point and a fair question. I mean, when you look at it, it was one of those games. It was an emotional game. It went down to literally 8 seconds left, tying the game, and then getting the win in overtime. And then you look at all the other factors. Like, you look at the history of when the Philadelphia Phillies won the World Series in 2008 and the iconic clinching game that had to be postponed due to weather conditions. Yes. And you talk about the weather conditions that were pending coming into this game. And I asked, why don't they move it up to 6 o'clock so they could avoid the majority of that? Now the weather held out until the final few minutes of the game for the most part. But you kind of just factor all of that in and kind of like that shot that Voracek had that, I mean, it went through the defenders. Like, it was so precise through the 5-hole of the goaltender. And then clearly with Giroux, and not even just that, you could see the conditions on the ice were getting rougher, that the puck wasn't carrying like it should, that it was tough for the players to see. They had, drops all over their mask. It's just one of those kind of iconic moments, and you could see it kind of swaying their favor. It just made it that much more special. I think they missed an opportunity. What I don't like about this is I don't even need rows the entire way, but I think they could have had they could have had a premium seat for 3 rows up on the glass, because I feel like part of what makes home ice advantage is having your fans up on the glass, pounding on the glass, or doing whatever it is, and being able to make that sound around there. Now, I know because you have that many more fans, there's more cheering, but again, now you have no roof, so all the sound is going up. I almost feel like in a way it kind of takes away from some of the home field advantage or home ice advantage. So I do think they missed an opportunity financially and for your home ice of having at least 3 rows that were up on the glass, a premium seat. Somebody would have paid for those. They would have been able to sell those.
Absolutely.
So I think that was a missed opportunity. But outside of it, you're absolutely right. It's one of the iconic moments. Considering that the Flyers don't typically do very well in Winter Classic and Stadium Series games.
Wasn't that their first win in outdoor games?
It was a huge way to do it in a game that they needed to win against a team that they are chasing right now. And again, when you look at it being Wayne Simmons' final game with the Philadelphia Flyers, an era in Flyers hockey that I hold him up on the same standard as a guy like a John LeClair. I hold him in such a high regard for the way that he played here for almost 8 seasons that it's one of those things that I'll go back and I'll remember, particularly because, of how fond I am of Wayne Simmons and how that game kind of played out. And you're right. It reminded me of, it wasn't a championship, but it reminded me of a must-win type of a playoff atmosphere with weather conditions coming into play. And it did kind of remind me a little bit of like that Phillies clinching game that had to be postponed in that sense. So awesome game to watch. Huge win by them. Super entertaining. And I'm happy to see that they finally were able to come out on top in one of these games.
I know, yeah.
And they seem to have carried the momentum over. I mean, they're playing very, very well tonight.
A couple of rough games last week, but I mean, they're not letting that deter their overall play. They're still playing well.
So good stuff, guys, in the first half. On the other side, we can go right to No Huddle if we want, or we can continue to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about.
We'll do a bunch of No Huddle topics here and there. Little things.
Yeah. So if you're on Instagram, you're on Periscope and Twitter. If you're on Facebook, guys, click the link. Make the jump over to YouTube. We're going to continue the second half of the show. We're going to go No Huddle. So I don't know what we're going to talk about. We're just going to throw out some stuff. We're going to talk as long as we feel like talking. Maybe an early night, or if you guys carry the conversation and we get into it, we may go all the way up to the 10 o'clock hour.
Jake, go to YouTube. I see you signed in. Jake, go to YouTube.
Yeah, Jake, get over on that YouTube. But yeah, we got to thank our sponsors, obviously. So we got all torn up because you started yelling Jake. Obviously, Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accounts, making yours, GibsonMayer.com, and Specialized Physical Therapy. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Find them in Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton, New Jersey. Obviously, Scanzano Sports, as always, for doing our poll question. And again, fam, make the jump. We love the conversation with you guys. Me and Chucks, we want to keep going with you. Frank over on the ones and twos. We'll see you guys on the other side on the tube.
Tom and Mike, AM and the PM is brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues and expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional sports. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Mike from Tom and Mike AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC, Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's www.gibsonmayer.com.
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
What's up, fam? Welcome back to Birds of a Feather Live on A2DRadio.com. We are over on the YouTube. Thank you again to our sponsors, Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountants. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com. Specialized physical therapy. Find them in Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton, New Jersey. Also find them on the web at SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. As we talked about in the first half of the show, our Scanzano Sports poll question, who's your top prospect pre-combine? Quinn Williams, Nick Bosa. I think Frank threw Snell out there.
No, he didn't.
But we hope you guys made the jump. If you did, we appreciate it. We look forward to continuing the conversation with the YouTube fam. Flyers up 4-2 with about 14 minutes left in the third period. So that's good. We talked a little Flyers the first half of the show. We're going into no huddle. We're going to go right into no
Let's
huddle.
just spew out these topics. Let's go.
So,
You wanna go first?
You got like a long ass list.
I'm
there,
just
so.
I'm just getting anything together.
We're gonna have Chuck's is no huddle tonight, guys. We're gonna have Chuck's just run with it.
Gotta ride with it.
First one I'm gonna go with. Shout out to this kid that I saw this morning on Good Morning America. I don't know if you guys have seen about this kid.
No.
It's a young boy. His name is Tommy Morrissey, and he is a young man who plays Little League. He also golfs. He's a one-armed kid. And they showed a video earlier this week. He worked with Chris Carpenter, formerly of the St. Louis Cardinals, just doing like a BP. Carpenter was working with him. They've shown his Instagram. I started following him actually after seeing this feature. But you know, he is an incredible golfer. It's insane how good he is for his age. And they showed him opening day of baseball. He hit a home run. It was a pretty damn cool moment.
Wow.
So I just want to give a shout out to this kid. He's doing really, really exciting stuff and inspiring a lot of people. And I thought that it would be worth giving a mention. And really cool to see. He's got a lot of followers on Instagram, 30,000 plus. People kind of following, a lot of the cool stuff he's doing. So shout out to Tommy.
That's awesome. You said one hand?
He's got one arm.
One arm.
Wow.
I think he was born with one arm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't even comprehend. That's
Now,
awesome.
the home run he hit, I don't think he hit it out. It's tough to see in the video. I don't think he hit it out of the park, but he drove it deep.
He did.
Which is impressive. And he was a little speedster around the bases and scored. But, you see him taking BP with Chris Carpenter, and he's driving balls. There's guys with two arms that can't drive a ball the way I seen this kid hitting balls. So, shout out to him, man. Really cool.
Yeah, that's crazy. Awesome. I can't even. I'm just trying to still wrap my head around that. Like
Chuck's is like, I don't even know how to swing a bat with two arms.
Yeah, two arms, like let alone one.
One.
That's awesome stuff. So let's start off with this. Chris Maragos was released. I think that's no surprise.
See ya.
I want to, and I know that he was just a special teamer. I get it, but I think that he's not someone I'm going to get upset about. I think it was definitely the right move. He wasn't even healthy all season, But I think he's one of those guys who was under the radar why he was here because
I don't think Maragos has played since week 6 of the
of 2017
2017
season.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was a freak ACL tear, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly.
I think he is someone that I'm always going to appreciate
Yeah, I agree with that.
because even though he was just a special teamer, man, was he a special teamer.
He was
Like,
he was one of
phenomenal.
he was one of our top guys, and in a year where special teams was something that really propelled us in a lot of games and was one of our specialties and fortes, he was one of the leaders on the special teams and one of the catalysts. So, yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I'll always have an appreciation for the guy. I saw some people getting upset with him being released, though, and I don't
Why?
understand that. I mean, you haven't seen him play
You haven't
in a year
seen
and
him
a
play.
half-
Exactly.
in more than a year and a
I
half.
mean,
Yeah.
to
at
be
this
fair, Maragos is a special teams captain, and I know a lot of people, especially in the area. I know if there's appearances involving the Eagles, Maragos is probably one of the first active players that you'll probably see at those appearances. So, and with me interacting with him, especially where I work.
Sure.
I met him at
Um,
I met him at an
he's,
event.
He's
He's awesome.
He's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
Amazing guy off the field.
Sure.
Great captain. Amazing off the field. Great leadership guy. And probably one of the nicest families I've ever worked.
I
like,
believe it.
like wife, nicest woman ever. Mature kids for their ages. Like young
Yeah.
kids, very mature. Like
Yeah.
it's going to be difficult. Not seeing Chris on the field. Hopefully, he'll be involved with the team in some way, shape, or form. I really hope he'll be around.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wish him the best of luck.
Yeah.
If he either gets picked up elsewhere or he decides to call it a career.
I wonder
Yeah,
if
and
he's
massive
even
respect to
going to
him.
play
and
again.
listen, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I mean, the guy's a class act. He
Yeah.
always has been. But in a season 2 where we're looking at cap cuts and needing to save money, you have to turn every stone. And unfortunately, he's one of those guys who hasn't even been on the field in more than a year and a half.
Heck, we might even
a
let
problem.
Brandon Graham, Super Bowl hero, go. I mean, it's
Right.
just the nature of the business, and I get it. I hope, I'm deducting that his injury was more severe than anyone thought, and I'm hoping not. This is
I would
totally up to
imagine
him. I would
is, 'cause
imagine
it's a torn ACL, which usually doesn't take a year and a half to
Exactly.
recover from. So there's something not right there.
Yeah. So
And
I
I
would
haven't
hope.
heard anything about him coming back to play on the
Exactly.
field either, which is concerning even more so.
So it wouldn't surprise me if he does call it a career. And like what you said, Frankie, it would be great to see him as back, stick with the organization in some fashion.
like in a role like what John Dornbos has been on
Yeah,
the team.
something
like
Like
that.
like
He'd be
a
a
like a
great-
team ambassador.
An ambassador, exactly.
Yes.
He's a guy who can definitely step into that
or
role.
maybe get involved with the AO1 Foundation. Him
Yeah.
being very religious. Him
Yeah,
and Carson
yeah,
have
yeah.
a great relationship with that. So
Sure.
hopefully something in the lines of the team, either in fellowship or with the AO1 Foundation. We'll see where it'll be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Little scare last night, guys. Our boy Bobby.
I know. I held my breath when I saw that. I'm like, oh my god.
When you see a guy go down in that fashion, I mean, how many times do we see it in the NFL?
Yeah.
Your instant reaction is ACL
Is
tear.
ACL
This
done.
is not good. We're going to have to see more of Amir Johnson now and Jonah Bolden, who I don't mind seeing Jonah Bolden, but not at the expense of a Boban Marjanovic
yeah.
injury.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I have to say, good news today that Bobby, it seems to just be a mild, what was
Bone
it?
bruise?
It was a bone bruise and a
bruise, yeah.
mild strain.
Yeah.
He's going to get reevaluated in 5 to 7 days. Hopefully get him back in a couple of weeks. But thank God, at least initial
Exactly.
examinations did not show any kind of a structural damage or anything to be concerned about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank God.
And I was talking with Mr. Brodo yesterday as we were watching the game, and he thought it was an ACL tear. And
That was the first thing that came to my mind.
exactly, and especially a guy of Bobby's size with an ACL tear, that's basically a nail in the coffin to your career right there.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
thank the basketball gods
Yeah.
that it was just a bruise and
Absolutely.
Thank God.
and nothing worse.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Next one, I will go with Alshon's quote from this past week I think sometime last week about the Kelly Green jerseys.
Yes, bring
And
him
it's
back.
it's a debate that we have
Bring him
every
back.
single year. You love them.
Love them.
I like them, but not to the extent where I'd want them as our primary jersey. To me, I am someone who is more along the lines of I want the whole uniform to be redesigned. I think they need an update. I think the current look is getting boring, and I think that I've always believed that it could use an update and a new fresh look. Now I want them to keep the wings, but I would like them to redesign them and update the the look of the wings. And I'm not talking about like the uniform doesn't have to be flashy, but I think that just a fresh look is something I'd be more interested in than switching our primary color back to Kelly green. I think the Kelly green is awesome as like a third jersey. You wear it once a year, or if according to league rules, I think you can wear it twice. If you do it once or twice a season, I would love that. That'd be great, but not as a primary. I prefer the midnight green, but that's just me. I seem to be in the minority. There are some of us. I know some people that do agree with me, but most people, they love the Kelly greens, which is fine. It's a discussion every year, but I don't think it's ever going to get changed.
I'm going to totally and utterly disagree with you.
Go ahead, that's fine.
I see a lot of the uniform designs and redesigns that they do to quote-unquote modernize things, and I think they look like shit. They look like an arena football
Thank
league.
you.
They don't look like an NFL.
You.
Doesn't have to be flashy. That's what I said.
Absolutely. Sometimes classic and having a modernization of a classic jersey, like doing something to accentuate the Kelly green, makes a lot of sense. I felt like when they bought them back a couple of years ago, it had a prestige about it, and it looked. You look at teams like look at the Steelers and how their uniforms really have rarely evolved aside from the numbers on that. It was a slight alteration to their jersey, but it brought it into a modernization.
Sure, I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
I'd be down for Eagles.
I remember a couple years ago when Nike took over and they were talking about, they're going to start going with all these kind of college styles.
Exactly.
And every one of them, I would say 85 to 90% of them looked like absolute dog shit.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
I don't think that I actually think the Eagles, when you look around the league, have one of the classier looking uniforms.
It's one of the nicer uniforms, but I mean, I'm very indifferent with the midnight green. Like, and I know the issue with Nike's uniforms is that they can't get that exact shade, which is probably why they're trying to tease that Kelly green a little bit. But
I have no problem with them going to Kelly.
Because
I have no problem with
when
it
they
either.
went to Nike, remember that one season? I think it was 2015.
Yeah.
Where for 4 weeks straight we wore white jerseys because they were like, Nike was like, we're gonna we have to update the and then they came out and it was just like you could tell there is a different the green is slightly different. It's more like it's a more flat green than the ones from old days, which is, hey, I get it. I'm not saying flashier because I agree with you. A lot of the updates, like the Titans and the Buccaneers, their jerseys horrible looking, absolutely horrible. If they here's my case. Remember the old
like
the
I
80s,
felt like when they went back to the
Giants?
Kelly green, I thought they accentuated the wings in a very positive way on those helmets.
That's fine. Do you remember the old? I think it was before. I think it was the 80s. The Giants, the New York Giants, their uniforms when like LT played. I think those are great. When they switched,
the darker blue,
darker blue and the red stripes.
And then when they with the red stripes, that was a great look.
Yeah.
When they went to these jerseys that they have now, I thought that was horrible. I think the New York Giants jerseys now
are
one of the worst. If they had gone, to me, when I say update, I'm not saying it doesn't have to be flashy. I'm just saying like I think a refreshed look where even if it's still simple, but just slight things like altered.
But I
think that would be great.
I felt like they did do that because there was a time where they had just the numbers, and just by putting the shadowing behind the numbers, that made the numbers pop a little bit and made the names on the jerseys pop a little bit more. They've done those slight alterations to kind of keep with the times and keep it modern without going over the top and making it look like a shitty arena football league. Like
so
or something like of Seattle.
I hate the Titans uniforms. I
don't like them either.
Hate the Jacksonville Jaguars uniforms. I think they look like dog shit.
They looked worse now than they were a couple of years ago.
The only one that I've come around on a little bit but I still actually like the ones they had just previous, is the Dolphins one. I like the logo better, but I don't necessarily know how much I really like the uniform because I don't know that I like the number style
the
that
font
they have on
I'm
there.
not a fan of.
I liked in the
love these
90s and
uniform
early
talks.
2000s when they had
The drop
numbers
shadows,
with the shadowings.
exactly.
I thought that made that uniform updated and popped. I thought they took it to an arena football or a college football look. And it has to have a different look than what these colleges like. Not everybody can be the Oregon Ducks.
I remember when Chip Kelly was the head coach. I remember everybody was like,
talk,
it was like, oh, are they going to go with Kelly Green? Are they going to make Oregon style uniforms?
Oh,
Thank goodness we didn't get to the Oregon part.
Again, like dog shit.
I think there are there are uniforms that are modern. Like some of those Ducks uniforms, I'm sorry, some of them are really dope. But I get that like a good number of them are bad. I think it's just you have to show me the uniform, and I think that simple is better. But what you were saying that like they did do that before, where they adjusted like the shadowing of the numbers or here and there. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying that do some like little touches to the uniform. Keep it simple.
Exactly.
Because I think keeping it simple overall is still a little bit goes a long way. But I just think that
I think that's my issue is what more can they really do without completely changing the uniform? There's not much that they can do.
I'm not a graphic designer.
By having,
so I don't know.
But it's kind of true. I mean, there's really not a lot that they could do without completely changing the uniform.
Yeah.
They went with a different look with the blackout uniforms. They introduced an alternate look to give another fresh style to it, but
what else can you do?
I love the blackout uniforms.
I do too, but I think that was a good way to bring a fresh look to the uniform by just changing the color scheme on
What I think would be dope if they did a black on Kelly Green. Or Kelly Green and
I'd have to see it.
I wouldn't mind
if done right.
If done right, I'd have to see it.
It would have to be done. I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I'm a big fan of the Kelly Green uniforms.
Yeah, I love them.
I wish that they would bring them back. They're not going to. But then again, baseball. I wish the Phillies would go back to the maroon and powder blue.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, those are great.
I love them.
Those are great uniforms. Yeah.
Those are my favorite games to watch when they go into the powder blues.
I'm a Cardinals fan. I'm happy that this year they're bringing back their powder blues for a certain select games. I like that style. I mean, sometimes to go back to traditional and what they did to change it, they're going powder blue.
Exactly.
But instead of having Cardinals, they have a St. Louis logo on the front, which I like.
Yeah.
It's a new look to an older style jersey and reintroducing it to a new generation.
Right.
I would have no problem with it. I think if you're going to change the look of the uniform, go back to the Kelly Green. You can do a very, very, very minor tweak to it if you want to modernize it and introduce that tradition to a new generation.
Exactly.
It's like when you look at the Sixers. When the Sixers went when they first changed and they went out of the red, white, and blue
to the black and gold,
I thought they were kind of cool at first, but it got real old real quick. And then they went back to the traditional logo,
which is great.
Which is great.
And it was.
And their uniforms are probably the best in the league right now.
It is definitely one of the tops in the league. It reintroduced a new generation who wasn't around for the heyday of Julius and Barkley and all that, and it created a whole new vibe. I get that. To me, you got to go back to Kelly Green if you're changing. Otherwise, leave it alone. Don't fix what's not broken.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
There are a lot of really shitty uniforms in this league.
There are.
I think the Eagles are one of the tops in regards to top to bottom, away, alternate, home. Everything kind of comes together.
It works right with the Eagles.
I just don't know what you could do with it, to be honest with you.
I'd have to show. I'm not an artist.
Well,
but I think that
learn and draw that shit up, and then we'll have another conversation.
Okay, fine. I'll hire someone.
I'll make a picture.
I'll hire someone.
Ryan Brodo chimes in. He would like for us to talk about the Bryce Harper situation, which we'll do. I don't want to jump into it yet because we're going to go on a rant about that. I'm going to say welcome back and congratulations to Roman Reigns.
You stole my no huddle.
Well, Frank, I jumped on that shit on you.
I know.
We share it, Frank. We
All
share
right.
it.
Because I know I won't be producing on Thursday.
Yes.
And I know you guys are going to I know that's probably going to be your first topic going into this week.
So I'm just going to forewarn the fam. We had a topic. We were going to actually go with a structure of a show where we were going to do the lazies. We were going to do a tournament. Obviously, with the news of Roman Reigns coming back, that has totally switched things up. So I'm still coming up with the structure of the show. Huge news. But awesome news. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, just the fact that this is a guy who is well known. He's more or less become a household name. People who aren't even really big into wrestling have heard this story about a guy who's part of a worldwide company who was the focal point of it and ended up having to step away due to cancer. Awesome that he's in remission. And for those who don't understand what that means, it doesn't mean he's cured. He's in remission, which is a huge positive step.
Yep.
He's had it before. He had it when he was 22, about 11 years ago. It's something he's going to have. It sounds like the type that he has. It's something he's probably going to have to be concerned about and get tested for the rest of his life every 6 months or so. But it's a very positive story to have this guy be able to come back, step in the ring. He's now planning to do a lot of things to raise more awareness and use his platform for cancer research. He talked this morning on Good Morning America about doing things particularly for pediatric cancer,
Nice.
which I am a huge supporter of.
Yep.
I'm a supporter for any kind of a wonderful cause, particularly with cancer, because it affects so many of us. But I just thought it's a really cool story. And again, I don't know how many of you guys are huge hardcore wrestling fans that you watched it last night or maybe have seen clips, but I know Frank has watched it enough to
Here
know
and there, yeah.
when he came out last night, it didn't look good. It looked like one of those walks where the guy's coming in the ring and saying goodbye to everybody. So to get that great news, for him to be able to now get back to doing what he does best and to be able to now use this platform in such a positive way is it's just an amazing story all around. Wish him the best. And, I'm going to –
We'll see what happens with him leading up to WrestleMania.
Yeah, we're going to dig into it much more on Lazy Booking, but I wanted to make sure that we gave that shout-out here for Frank's topic.
All good.
Yeah, so good stuff. Did you want to contribute anything to that, Frank?
See, I didn't buy one because I know I wanted to talk about Roman Reigns and I was going to bring it up, but
What's funny was I was going to go to Frank after I mentioned that too. So totally stole.
It's all good.
I was plowing through some of ours. I was going to go to Frank.
All
get
good
back
in the
to some
hood.
of ours.
Let's see. What did?
We'll give Frank. Frank, you think about it.
I'll
Chuck's, bring
think
up your
about it.
next topic
Let's
here.
go with something I found very funny was John Gruden a few days ago saying that he is open to trading his picks.
Oh, jeez.
What a mess.
You know who he should trade him for? He should trade him for a guy like Amari Cooper or someone like Khalil Mack.
Trade them back. What a fucking idiot. This guy's a mess. I don't understand what he's doing there. I don't know how he could be so disconnected from the game.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
And I mean, for a guy too who's been around the game in the commentary booth and seen the evolution of the game, and for the most part, I feel like he was pretty good in the commentary booth.
Oh, he was awesome.
And
I liked him.
Had a grasp of the game. I really thought that this was going to be a really good signing by the Raiders as far as a head coach, guy familiar with the organization, a guy who has not gone away from the game and really been present. I mean, he has really he has proved us wrong in spades. I don't get what's going on, but I mean, listen, man. God bless you guys who are Raiders fans. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, Curly,
and you got you got 9 more years of this shit.
Yeah. It's just I don't know why you say that when you went through all like if you're John Gruden, if I'm John Gruden, I don't make a quote anything like that. Because obviously everyone knows the value of trading a picks. If you trade picks for, surefire players who are proven and everything, I get it. Like, we all know that. But you just went through all this trouble this past season, acquiring all these picks by choosing not to go with Khalil Mack and trading him and being so under fire with him, and then trading Amari Cooper, all of that, and then you make this quote. Like, it's not smart to me. It's just like you're just putting yourself under more laughter and like. You're just the further butt of jokes right now in Oakland, and he better hope. Like, I mean, it's his first season. He wants to get more of his players still on his team, and I get it. So even though the season was bad for the Raiders, I don't want to write him off yet. But at the same time, he's got to start. Once he gets these players on his team, he's got to start winning and adjusting. And I don't know what he wants to do at quarterback. You hear conflicting reports with him and Carr, if he likes Carr or not. So I don't know. I saw that quote and I was like, here we go again with John Gruden and a wild quote. I remember his quote earlier in the season. He was like, "We need an elite pass rusher. We're lacking in the pass rushing department." And it's like, oh wow, Khalil Mack would have been great if you had him in that regard. But yeah, it's just I found it so funny that he came out and said that. It's laughable.
Frank has one.
I do have one. My no huddle. This happened over the weekend. This is Chelsea goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga refusing his manager's orders at the end of a game against Man City.
Okay.
So during the game, Arrizabalaga was we'll just call him Kepa because he's known as Kepa.
Okay.
So Kepa was he had himself a cramp in his leg, and he had a prior during the game against Man City, and so leading up to the penalty shootout against Man City, the manager decides to pull Kepa, sub in for the backup goalkeeper Willie Caballero. Kepa is like, no. He is refusing orders to get subbed off, and they decide to keep him. They kept him in there because it's like, all right, we're not subbing him in. He doesn't want to get off. So, yeah. And unfortunately, Chelsea lost, and he got he lost a week's worth of pay.
Wow.
And he had a little explanation of what happened in his little thing. He deeply regrets on how the match has been portrayed. He had no intention to disobey Sarri's orders, or the coach disobey the orders of any of his decisions.
Sounds like a whole lot of bullshit.
And it was a misunderstanding, according to Kepa.
There's no misunderstanding. No, I'm not getting off the field.
Right.
Kiss
And
my
especially
ass.
it's an important game against Man City, which I understand. It's huge.
And he was hurt, you said, right?
Yeah, he had a cramp throughout the game, so his leg was cramping minutes
Dumbass.
prior.
No, get off the field.
Yeah.
Get off the field.
But he felt okay to continue, so he's like,
That's a guy that's showing up as coach, man. You can't do that.
yeah. Imagine that happening, like, especially,
Oh, my God.
like, just imagine that, like, in any situation, like,
I've
people
seen
getting yanked and refusing to do so.
Well, I've kind of seen it in baseball. Like, they ultimately get off the field, but you do see where, like, a guy I always think of when I think of seeing that a couple of times was John Lackey. John Lackey, when Mike Scioscia would come out, you would read his lips and he'd say, Mike, I'm not coming out. I can finish this off. And,
Right.
and I mean, he would be animated and visibly furious after an argument that he would finally get off the field.
As someone who doesn't watch baseball, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. That pitchers refuse to come out.
Well, they don't now. No, it doesn't happen very often.
It doesn't.
And they won't show somebody up. Now, there has been instances where a guy's been pulled and then shit's happened after the fact.
Yeah, and being very vocal
I
afterwards.
mean, you can go back to 1990 with the Cincinnati Reds and Rob Dibble getting pulled by Lou Piniella. And that ensued in an argument in the locker room with cameras rolling.
Yeah.
A fist fight in the locker room. That's happened. But, I mean, again, we're going back. That's almost 30 years at this point. You don't see it that often. But it happens. It happens. Yeah, dumbass.
Yeah.
Dumbass. 5-2 Flyers, by the way. Dumbass.
Yep.
And Duke went down as well.
Good.
To Virginia
Screw 'em.
Tech.
Good. Screw him. I hate Duke.
It's Duke, baby.
I guess I'll get into the Bryce Harper situation now.
Yeah.
There's your suggestion, Mr. Brodo.
Where do I stand with the Bryce Harper situation? Here's what I'll say about the Bryce Harper situation. I am amazed that I am a Cardinals fan, and I care more about the way the Phillies organization is handling this Bryce Harper signing than actual Phillies fans. I don't care what anybody tells me. I don't buy a word from people who say they don't want Harper. And I'm seeing people who one day are, I want him. The next day, I don't want him. You have a guy who takes you from a somewhat contender to a championship caliber team immediately, particularly with the additions that they made that have been fantastic. But you have an organization that vocally has come out and declared that they have, quote, stupid money to spend. Stupid money. Now, if they come out of this without Bryce Harper, this will go down in the history of stupid comments in the history of Philadelphia sports. This will rank right up there with the Dream Team comment. This will never die. This will follow this management and this organization for years and years if they fail to get Bryce Harper. Now, I've heard people say, go out and get Keuchel, go out and get Kimbrel. Tom was down here earlier. We had a conversation. Spend stupid money on them. That's not spending stupid money. It's stupid if you give Kimbrel 6 years and $100 million.
Right.
That is stupid money. That's not stupid as in having all this money and we could just throw it around. That's just a stupid – that would be a stupid commitment to make to a guy, a reliever. That's just actual stupidity. But you can't come out and say you have stupid money to spend and lowball guys. And the player has every right to evaluate themselves and wait on it and have the right to negotiate just as much as the ownership does. And what I believe is happening right now is the Philadelphia Phillies tried to call his bluff, didn't believe that there were other teams that were going to be serious enough to get in and beat them. Now you're hearing rumors, and it's not just John Heyman rumors. You're hearing it from other guys like Jim Bowden, who Jim Bowden was a guy who was all over. He's going to sign in Philadelphia. But now you're hearing these
and
other
Nightingale
outlets.
Too. Yeah.
You're hearing these other outlets reporting that there is another team that is willing to possibly go up as high as $300 million. What this tells me, the Philadelphia Phillies could have locked this up a week or two ago. You want to spend stupid money? That's spending $300 million on a guy.
Yep.
You're the ones who said you're out on Manny Machado and all in on Bryce Harper. When you start taking options off the table, you need to meet that price. I'm not saying sacrifice everything. The one thing I looked at was, okay, Bryce Harper wants to get 300 plus. He wants to break the contract record, which essentially now the Nolan Arenado extension that happened today is going to make that much more complicated because his average annual value is now $32.5 million, the most in the history of the game. But he also wants to beat Giancarlo Stanton's contract. So to me, this team could get this done 330 and 340. I don't think they need to go up to 350.
Yeah.
But at that point, $10 million, it's $1 million
Exactly.
a year. You're talking peanuts. But this team could have offered him 330 a week ago, and I think this deal could have got done. But they tried to call the bluff because they didn't believe that other teams would be serious enough to be in on it. And now they're finding out that they weren't. Now they are betting against, or they're bidding against themselves.
Yep.
Because they're continuing to play this game when they could get this deal done.
They could have got that deal done.
I can understand not wanting to give the 3-year opt-out. Right? I can understand it. I'm a guy who typically, you see it's usually 5 years. That's what Machado did.
Yep.
Usually they'll take an opt-out after 5 years, still be a young guy. He wants 3. My initial reaction was meet in the middle, 4.
Right.
And I've heard people say, no, just give him the 3, give him what he wants and get it done. I don't believe that you should do that because, there's been the thought of, well, Boris and them, they have them by the balls because now they have to save face. I don't care how this ends up, no matter who signs him. If they end up not with Bryce Harper, with what they've put out there, it's a failure.
Exactly.
It is a failure. And I didn't say that a week and a half ago, but the way I've seen things fall, I think it's an absolute failure. But these guys want the 3-year option because the collective bargaining agreement,
the CBA,
the new CBA starts after the next 3 years. So they want to have that ability to see how that collective bargaining agreement goes down and will it make sense for them then to opt out. So in that sense, I understand it. And I feel like a lot of these guys, too, when they get these opt-outs in baseball, Chuck's give you a little lesson, the majority end up staying with their teams anyway. They just renegotiate the deal, particularly if you're a winning team.
Exactly.
You have a chance to stay with a winning team
and the Phillies
and get paid.
are on the verge of being a winning team.
Bryce Harper in the next 3 years on this team, they will absolutely
they will be a winning team.
They will be a World Series contending team.
Right. And that's something that Bryce wants. He wants the World Series. And if I'm looking at the teams the next couple of years, I think Philadelphia is in the best position. It's not L.A. San Diego maybe, but San Diego's out of it. Philadelphia is on the verge of being that serious team. They got the pieces. The prospects are gelling. There are moves to be made, and they are in good position to win a World Series in the next couple of years.
The teams that you're looking at in the next couple of years that will be major contenders, the Phillies will be one of them with Bryce Harper. If San Diego can get pitching, because their farm system
is loaded with pitching.
They have 9 of the top 100 prospects.
Exactly.
And they have so much young talent on the Major League roster.
Yeah.
Like people were talking, it's not even just the Philadelphia compared to San Diego City.
Exactly.
This is a case of a guy that went to an organization that's on the rise. They have a lot of pieces in place. They just don't have the pitching yet.
The pitching's not there yet, but the infield is almost set. You just got to wait for Fernando Tatis Jr. to get called up. The outfield, it's on the rise. Will Myers is actually getting better.
As long as he stays healthy.
As long as he stays healthy.
That team is a team that you're going to have to watch out for. Yeah. If the Cardinals, and I do believe it, and a lot of people believe it, can extend Paul Goldschmidt.
Right.
They are a team with their young pitching, and they have a lot of young pieces in place now. That's a team that's going to be there to compete. The Cubs, you always have to – I hate it, but you always have to throw the Cubs in because their core is so young.
Exactly.
Although their pitching is getting older.
Yep.
Although Darvish has apparently looked good today, throwing 96. But you have to look at these teams. They don't sign Bryce Harper. They're not there yet. Real Muto was a great pickup. Mm-hmm. Segura, I think, is going to be huge.
Yeah.
I like the McCutchen deal. They overpaid, but in baseball you can do that. It's really not a big deal. But if you can get us, if you can bring Harper in with that team,
right?
Good Lord, wow, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with, and you will have an enticing place for Bryce Harper to continue to stay. But right now, the Philadelphia Phillies are blowing it big time. They could have gotten it done, and now they have a situation where they left the door open for other teams to come in behind them, and that's what's starting to happen now. There's been rumor that Houston might be that other team that's willing to go up to $300 million. Wouldn't shock me. And good Lord, can you see him with George Springer on that team and Carlos Correa?
Yeah.
That would be unfortunate.
Good Lord. But I don't know. The Phillies need to get this done.
Yeah.
And people are going to talk about Boris and this and that. Mikey from AM and the PM, Mike Mataraki had put out there, there was a report that he was going to sign, and then his family told him they want him to be closer to home and to wait. And then he was going to sign again, and Boris said, well, let me check back in with the Dodgers. Listen, if he wants to be closer to home, that's their job.
Right.
It's the family is supposed to help keep him grounded and keep him focused. And also, it's the agent. If the player says, I want to be closer to home if it's possible, and there's a possibility still there, that is the agent's job to make sure that he turns every stone before they make that commitment. So I don't care what anyone says as far as does he want to play here, doesn't he? There's been so many conflicting reports from reliable sources.
Right.
His own friends and family who people said that he didn't want to play here actually came out and said there's been none of that.
Exactly.
So,
and especially that I saw one reporter that said that Bryce didn't want to play with Gabe because of the analytics, but yet the Dodgers, who based their team around analytics, is the favorite. And, of course, Bryce and Gabe hit it off. It worked great in that Vegas meeting.
Right. So, to me, I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking the Phillies lowballed because even if he is open to taking less years for a higher AAV, particularly with the conversation that's been opened with the new CBA coming up, for Bryce Harper to not take the largest dollar value for the most amount of years, the Players Association will never allow that to happen.
Exactly.
So what it tells me is he set a benchmark of 300 or 320 325 or
Right.
probably 330 because he wants to beat the highest
Yep.
AAV. And the Phillies aren't coming close to that because if they did, they're the only team right now that possibly is doing that. It would have been done.
Yeah.
So if they fail, I don't care. People can bitch about Harper and bitch about Boris all they want. This is the Phillies that are dropping the ball big time here. So we'll see. I hope it happens. I said to somebody earlier, they're my hometown team. I like the Phillies. I like to see them do well. Not over the Cardinals. I root for the Cardinals 100%. It's the first sports team I ever loved. But, I got my big fish. I got Paul Goldschmidt this year.
Yeah, you got Goldie.
I got Goldie this year. I want to see the Phillies now go out and get their big fish.
Exactly.
And this is the guy they need to get. This is the guy that makes the most sense for them. This is a guy that will sell tickets. He will increase
Right.
$40 million.
Exactly.
Around $40 million, he will increase their season ticket sales alone. That will pay for his contract alone just by what his presence will be in the organization as far as season ticket sales and everyday sales. They go from averaging anywhere between 23 to 26,000 per game
Yeah.
to they're probably averaging anywhere between 36 to 39,000 people per night at
Exactly.
that stadium. So get it done, guys. Middleton, Clintac, you guys got to get it done. I understood where you were at before, but now the ball's in your court. You know what you have to do to get it done, and you have to get it done. Bottom line. Anybody else, anything for the good of the cause, or are we calling it a night?
We can call it a night.
Let's call it a night.
All right, guys, great show. If you joined us, wherever you join us, Instagram, Periscope, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, wherever we're at, the website, we appreciate you. The fam drives the show. Don't forget, tomorrow night, the Fix is on.
Yes.
We got the
we'll
Fix.
be back.
We got AM and the PM. Thursday night, we got Lazy Booking. We got Hockey Happy Hour. Friday night, Philly Sports Guys. Saturday, we got the Hooligans. Sunday, Agree to Disagree, the flagship. Monday, In This Very Ring drops. We also have the Sports Hounds on Monday nights, and we're back with you guys next week on Tuesday night. Join A2D Live. Give us a follow there. Follow A2D Radio. If you're on the YouTube and you're not subscribed yet, subscribe, get alerts, give us ratings on our social media.
Please,
get us on
yes.
Twitter, and get in the damn Real Talk group where where the conversation never ends with the fam in the Real Talk group. Guys, until then, till next week, Frank, thank you so much for
You're
stepping
welcome.
in. Appreciated that no huddle topic that you brought to the table
Enjoy the
tonight.
combine.
Yeah. For Chucks, for Chrome, we appreciate you. We'll see you next week.